My name is Amanda Hobbs, and I was born in West Memphis, but I was raised in Memphis, Tennessee. So I'm pretty much from the city of Memphis.
So, for those that are listening that might not be familiar with the West Memphis 3 case, can you talk about it and tell me how you've been affected by it?
Yeah, the West Memphis Three in 1993 on May 5th, there were three 8-year-old boys brutally murdered in the Robin Hood Woods in West Memphis, Arkansas. And my brother was by three supposed teenagers. This case is about 30 some odd years old. My brother was one of the 8-year-old boys that was murdered, and it's been tough. Um, in all honesty, my dad did a very good job. My dad is Terry Hobbs. He was one of the stepfathers that was accused of killing the boys. Um, but he did the best job he could as a parent to keep me shielded from the actual case and the media and things like that as a child. So I can't really tell you very much about the case. I can just tell you about like how things affected us afterwards and how I tried to like he just wouldn't let me really know anything about it, until he just kept telling me that my brother was at peace and he was happy. He wasn't really telling me the things that he was going through with like all the death threats and the publicity and all that. I just knew that he was making like videos of what he calls the grub house where he cooks, and he was doing videos like that and then videos where he plays his guitar because he can play very well. And um, I thought that's where all the publicity was coming from most of the time, but I didn't really realize it was because he was a suspect until they cleared his name in 2015. But I started getting death threats. I started getting all the publicity that he was getting, and I was like, Dad, where's this coming from? Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to handle this. Why are people telling me they're going to kill us? And there are some sick people in this world that really may actually think that way. That may think that, hey, it's okay to just go kill somebody because we think these things, not because we know them. You know, so you never know. And it was really tough growing up, having to always keep my head over my shoulder, watching my back constantly. But it wasn't impossible. I was still able to function as a human being. And I did, like when I was like 15 years old, I got curious about the case because my dad would never tell me, like I said. So I went myself and started doing some research, and I didn't really find out too much. Um, but I did find out why my mom's side of the family was saying the things that they were saying, like because I wasn't studied up on the case. I'm still not studied up on it. Um, I've just been affected by it as well, and I think it's time for people to actually hear my story. I'm 35 years old now, and I'm starting to think if it's not now, then when? When am I going to get a chance to tell my truth? Um, but no, my dad, he was a great protector. He was. He didn't let me know. And it's like if I didn't look into it myself, I would have never known why people were saying the things that they were saying.
So, I know this case was 30 plus years ago, but can you recall any good memories you had with Stevie?
I have pictures. I have pictures of where we're like turning cartwheels in the living room, and we're opening presents on Christmas Day, and like different pictures like that. Um, in all honesty, I do not have any memories of him. I don't even remember when my mom talks about it all the time, how we went to his funeral and how she says that I sat on, or she carried me up to the casket, and I said, Mama, when is Bubba coming home? And she had to tell me that he wasn't. I don't even remember that. I was only 4 years old, so I was still just a baby myself when it happened.
Right. Yeah, that's understandable. Can you recall any good memories you had with your mom and dad while they were together?
Um, yeah, I mean, we used to always go swimming. We used to go to Shelby Forest. It's like a big pool that they had in Memphis. And my mom used to like to tan, but they had these huge horseflies out there. So I would always lay on top of her and cover myself up with a towel so I wouldn't get bit by the horseflies. And my dad would always be off in the deep end, so I couldn't go swim with him. They had like a 12-foot deep end. We used to go cooking, we used to go camping. We have a lot of good memories and times that we got to spend together. I don't know what made them eventually fall apart because they kept me when they were together. They did a good job as well together, keeping me out of their business like that, and just doing the parenting thing. Um, so I don't know what made them finally fall apart to where they decided to get divorced, but I just know it happened.
So tell me about your father and what kind of person he is, as if someone has never met him nor heard of him.
If someone's never met him, he tends to be on the sarcastic side. He's like me. Like our first language is sarcasm, and then we speak English. So, but he's a very lovable guy. Like he's honest. He's God driven. He has the spirit of God in him, and um he's a hard working man. He still works to this day. He's always been a hard worker. He's always taken care of his family. He's always been there, like there's not a day that goes by that I don't talk to my dad. He plays the guitar so well, it's amazing. Like he plays it so well. And he's just honest. He speaks the truth.
So in the movie West of Memphis, there's many accusations against your father, one of them which was that you and Stevie were molested by your father. And I believe that was told by your aunt. Can you speak about that?
I can. As you could tell in that documentary, I was on drugs really bad. So I did and said some crazy things for the money, but to feed my drug habit. It wasn't for what was right. And yes, that was said by my aunt, but did it happen? No, it did not happen. I'm sober today. I'm not doing this for any money. I'm doing this because I choose to. I choose to speak about this, and I did a scene in there where they did like a what's it hypnosis, and I faked that whole scene just for the $500 I got an hour after it, so I could go get high. And I didn't really think about how it was going to affect my dad. I didn't think about how it was going to, I didn't really think about the impact that this case had on the world. Um, so I've righted my wrongs with my dad, but for the world to know, I want them to know at that time it was obvious I was on drugs. I was not in my right state of mind. I was only doing it was blood money. And that's what my aunt likes to say that I do a lot of things for is for blood money. That's why I don't do things for money period anymore, you know, because that's not what it's about. It's about getting the truth out there. And the truth is, no, my father never molested me. That is beyond absurd. I don't even know what antagonized me to even, I don't know, because he raised me, and I'm such a daddy's girl. I don't understand. He doesn't either. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that any further than how I just did, except no, it never happened. And that's the truth. I just did it for the money.
So, over the years, many have speculated that your father had something to do with the homicides, including your own mother. What do you think about that? Do you think he might have been involved? Why or why not?
Absolutely not. And that's from behind the scenes of growing up and watching how he responded to it, how many tears he cried because he was not able to protect his son as a father should. And that's how he felt. I seen my dad cry those tears. I seen the reactions that he had behind the scenes. I seen how it affected him. Um, and no, there's no way. I don't believe. I believe in God. And I don't believe that God would allow someone to kill three innocent children of his because they were not at the age of accountability. They were going to heaven regardless because they were babies. And I don't believe that God would let somebody just live their whole life perfectly, like being able to stay stable and not have any problems, even though mentally it might affect you different. Like there's no rule book of how you grieve over something like this, but he come off stern because of that reason, because people were like, well, what about you? Well, what about me? He was out looking for his son like a normal father should do. And it wasn't until we picked my mom up from work, police got involved. And it's just, I don't even know where that's so left field. I don't understand where that would come from, or why he would be accused. I mean, it's in all honesty, my opinion, it's more suitable for Mark Byers to be accused because of the way he was. Because of the way he was. He hated Christopher because he thought Christopher was Melissa's affair child. He did not know that Christopher was his biological child until he was dead, and that's when he flipped out. It's like it was kind of like a sigh of relief that he was dead at first, and then he found out that that was his child, and he's like, oh my God. And he starts wigging out. So I think that's what I think God would do to somebody that actually had something to do with that. He would make their mind go absolutely insane. And that's what happened with that man. I mean, he threatened to kill us. We were sitting me and my stepmom were in our house one day, and about 20 Memphis police officers showed up at our house, and they were like, we're looking for Terry Hobbs. Me and my stepmom were like, well, what did he do? And they were like, no, you're in danger. Y'all need to come with us. And one of the film producers had from west of Memphis, Amy Bird, she had reached out to the Memphis Police Department and told them that Mark Byers was making allegations of killing me and my dad on May 5th, the same day that it happened. So that's one of the crazy incidents that we went through. He was threatening everybody. And I don't know, in my heart, in my mind, body, spirit, and soul, I feel like Mark Byers had something to do with it. And I will not change that thought just because of the research that I did do and the way I seen him acting in videos and how, no, like, that was not normal.
Did you ever have any interactions with him, like personally? Like, did he ever speak to you or come see you or anything like that?
When we went to the premiere of West of Memphis, he was there and we were on the red carpet together. All of us were, even me and the three boys that were in prison. We were all on the red carpet together, and I couldn't shake it. I couldn't talk to him. Every time I looked at him, I just went blank. I didn't want to step near him. I just couldn't. I don't know. I don't know if it's because he was talking about his brain tumor or what it was, but his brain tumor named Harvey on top of that. That really freaks me out.
So, does your mother still think that your father had something to do with the murders to this day?
In all honesty, I don't think my mom really cares anymore. Not that she doesn't care, you know what I'm saying? It's just she feels the way I do. When is the world going to let my brother rest in peace? We can't bring him back. He's in heaven. He watches over us. He shields and protects us from a lot of things. And I don't I don't know how my mom feels about it. Honestly, we don't talk about it. I try to keep my conversations with my mom on a different note because of the way it did affect her. She is a strong woman. She is a very strong woman for what that put her through and the way that she's still standing. And she just turned 60 the other day. So she's a very strong woman. I couldn't imagine to walk in her shoes. I couldn't. So we keep our conversations on current life situations and stuff like that. We don't really talk about the case. What the only thing she said to me the other day is that I don't know what's going to happen from one day to the next. She said they just approved that new DNA test to be done for Damien Eccles. Um, and I don't know what's going to happen. And that's when she said, I don't care. It's not that I don't care. It's just that I can't bring my son back. So I don't want to hear it. And you can't blame her. You can't. I mean, because I, I don't know. I have mixed emotions about it. I do believe Mark Myers was involved, but there's times that I feel like I went through the ages, stages, and phases of 16, 17, and 18, high, drunk, out of my mind, and things like that. And there's no way, even with two other people, that I would have been able to cover up a crime that perfectly, with being in that state of mind. There's no way. I mean, you would have left some messy tracks somewhere, you know, and so I feel like there's times that I think about that and I'm like, there's no way they could have done it. But then I think about the times that I watched the documentaries and Damien Eccles was like, oh, I mean, and he was like, it's cool on the stand to be sitting there on a triple homicide case and you're flipping people off like you're just God or something. Like, I don't know what he was thinking. But so, I mean, there's things that have been said and done that make me believe they did it. But what about the Bojangles guy? What about the guy that went into the Bojangles all bloody and muddy and watery and cleaned himself up? I mean, I wonder about that, but there's times when I just have to let it be. I have to let it be. I have to let my brother rest, and I have to work on me and my future. And I've been doing that lately. And but yeah, when it comes to my mom, I don't really know how she feels. We don't talk about it. Just it's best we don't because it sends her back to that state of mind, and I don't like doing that to her.
Right. Yeah, that's understandable completely. I mean, everybody's been through a lot, you, your mom, your dad, so I completely understand that.
Yeah, it sends my whole family, not just us. I mean, my aunts, my uncles. It sends us all, especially how much publicity it gets and it got. I just don't understand why they keep harping on it. I mean, it's not going to bring him back. The guys that were in prison are not going to get that time back that they did in prison. So, what is it? Is it for money? Is it for attention? What is it for? Like, are they trying to get the money back they for all the years they spent in prison? I don't understand it. I don't understand why they won't leave it alone. But for some reason, they won't.
So, do you have a healthy relationship with both your mother and father to this day?
Me and my mom went through a rough patch where I was staying with her, and we were doing what women do. We were arguing and fighting and things like that, but it wasn't always bad. We were goofy and crazy, silly and stuff like that too. But it's getting back to where we're talking again. My father, yes, I have a very healthy relationship with him. We talk every day. There's not a day that goes by that I do not talk to my dad. A couple times, sometimes. He's my best friend. He's always there for me, no matter what the situation is. He's always going to be there. And I mean, it's just my dad. That's how he is. That's who he is. It's how he raised me. He raised me to be a respectful person. So I respect everybody. It's like I understand people, but I'm very misunderstood, if that makes sense. It's like hard for people to read me, but I don't want people to read me.
So, what do you know about your mother's relationship with Steve Branch, Stevie's biological father?
I don't know anything about it. I just know that they were together and my granddad chased him one night and like tried to shoot him because he had her in Texas and he had her all the way drugged out real bad. And he took my mom from Texas and took her and Stevie back home with him. My granddad did. And then that's when she met my dad. So this was all before I was born. I don't know anything about Steve and mom's relationship. I know they talked throughout the years, but it wasn't much that they would talk about or anything like that. She had more of a relationship with his brother, Michael Branch. That was more of a boyfriend for her than he was. Like he took more credit of knowing my mom and being with my mom than Steve did that I know of. But don't credit me on that because I could be wrong.
So I know you mentioned that you think that John Mark Byers had something to do with the murders, but what do you think of the West Memphis Three? You know, Damien, Jesse, and Jason.
Well, that's like I said. Um, there's times I think they were involved, and there's times that I really don't know because it's so complex to me. Like it's so many years of research and evidence and different things like that, and that I can't really put a finger on it.
So, from your point of view, how does this case still affect your family to this day?
The publicity that it gets, having to see it on the news, having to still, I mean, I have children that are watching this stuff now, and my aunts have grandchildren. My mom, she she's got me, and I got her, and it just it still hurts because it reminds us that we lost him every time we have to see it or every time we have to hear it, and like there's nothing we can do to bring him back. So it affects my whole family, like my aunts, my uncles on my dad's side. It it affects all of us because they're still throwing up my dad's name, and like there's so many people out there that do that.
So, when the anniversary of the murders come around each year, do you do anything to celebrate Stevie's life?
I take his picture and I burn a guardian angel candle, and I have like rose petals that I lay around it, and I talk to him. I know that may sound crazy, but I do. I'll talk to him. My dad, he used to go to the memorial. He lives kind of far from it now, but he would let off balloons and burn candles and things like that. So I still do stuff like that. And when I was living in Blyville with my mom, I was going to the graveyard quite frequently, and I had a lot of talks with him there. And then, but when the death comes around, I mean, the death anniversary, I'm in a position now, being back in Memphis, where I can actually go, still go to his grave. It's only an hour and a half away from me. So I think about that too. I think I might do that this year.
So, is there anything you'd like the public to know about yourself, your father, or this case?
Yeah, actually, I'm not to the point yet to where I can like ask for donations and things like that, but I am reaching out for help with a nonprofit organization that I'm wanting to start, and I want it to be named Hobbs, which will stand for Helping Others Become Better Survivors. I'm trying to go state and federal registered right now, and then that's when I did my podcast the other day with Morbid Injustice, they were wanting to like start a GoFundMe page and help me, but see, I have to get my board of directors first. Like I have to find people. That's what I'm really reaching out for, is for people to get in contact with me that can help me with board of directors, with an attorney that can create the bylaws, with just all the things that I need to be done with it. I can't, I'm only one person. I can't do this by myself. I've done as much of the work in it by myself that I can. So I'm reaching out and I'm trying to let people know that there is a better way out here. I want it to be where I'm working with like troubled youth with mental health issues, I work in law enforcement to keep law enforcement involved in like children's whereabouts and like searches and things like that to prevent something to happen to another family like what happened to our family. Um, so yeah, I'm getting there. I'm talking to my mom more about it because she had mommy, which was Mothers of Murdered and Missing Youngsters. So she got all the way state and federal registered, and she can help me with it. And that's really what I'm wanting to do. And I want my dad to help me with it as well. I'm trying my best to get both of my parents to be able to help me and get along, if that makes sense. I don't think it's my parents really that would have the not getting along issue. I really think it'd be more my stepmom, but she would, she probably wouldn't have an issue with it. But that's it, really. Other than I am trying so hard to get this off the ground and figure out which way to go. Like I'm reaching out for people to reach out to me to help me with it. I'm not hard to find.
So, before we conclude this interview, is there anything that you'd like to talk about that we haven't covered yet?
No, that's pretty much it. Like I've said everything that I had to say, and I just wanted to make it known to the public that the molesting me things did not happen with my dad. He was. I'm not scared of my dad. My dad did not beat me. I mean, I got whippings as a child. Who didn't get whippings as a child? But it wasn't too extreme. I'm not scared of my dad. I never have been. I've always looked to my dad for help and guidance and protection. I'm sorry, I got the hiccup. But I've always went to my dad for guidance and help. I don't go to him because I'm scared of him or run from him because I'm scared of him because I'm not. He's not that kind of person, you guys.
All right. Well, I thank you for your time today and giving me your time to do this interview. I know you're pretty hesitant about doing interviews with people, so I really appreciate it. And we'll be in touch in the near future, and I'll let you know when this airs and all that good stuff.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, just send me the link so I can share it to my Facebook and things like that.